Hello everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to another design team project for Not Too Shabby. I thought I would go ahead and use the Neat and Tangled Jump for Joy stamp set again to get some more use out of it, and you all seem to really like the first interactive slider card that I did with the trampoline and the little squirrel. So I thought I'd use the other characters in the stamp set today. I'm going to be doing a simple one-layer card. So I'm going to stamp out my images using some alcohol-safe ink. I like the Fawn Jet Black ink. And I'm going to be stamping them out first on some Simon Says Stamp masking paper. Now this masking paper is new to me. Usually I just use full adhesive post-it notes, but I have to say I'm loving the masking paper and think it's definitely worth the extra bit of money. So you can see here for my turtle and my raccoon, I'm just stamping out the critters themselves. I'm going to be coloring the skipping rope in black, so I'm not worried about the Distress Oxide getting on that I'm going to have on my background. So I went ahead and fussy cut out my masks, and you can see that I'm using a couple of them here to help me place where I want the little characters who are going to be in front of something on the card. So I want the little hedgehog to be in front of the turtle, so I just laid down my mask. Now I wasn't too careful, so you can see they moved a bit, but it really didn't matter. I was able to keep them in place. I also want the little bunny to be in front of the skipping rope, so I'm going to stamp those two images down first. I do stamp them a couple times just because I really love that black crisp line for my images. Go ahead and clean them up with my Fawn stamp chamois, and then I'm going to adhere my masks down so I can continue on with my stamping. I'm going to bring in our little characters with the skipping rope here now, and you can see that the way the stamp is made, the little raccoon is a little bit lower than the turtle, so that's why I stamped the hedgehog down a little bit lower from the turtle so that it would be more in line with the bottom of the raccoon. So I'm going to stamp these guys out twice again, and then I'm going to go ahead and mask them up. And once I have them masked, I will start working on my background. So I'm going to be doing a really simple background scene here using some Distress Oxides. I'm going to be using Tumbled glass for the sky and then Mowed lawn for the grass. So I'm just going to get that set up. I'm using my makeup brushes. These I purchased on Amazon, and I love how they allow for a really soft, easy background for a scene card. I'm not worried about getting a full smooth blend on the sky. I kind of wanted there to be a lot of white space in the sky, almost to mimic like there are clouds in the sky. So once I get the sky done, I'm going to work on the grass, and all you have to do to clean up these makeup brushes is wipe them off on a dry microfiber cloth. Super simple, and then you can move on to the next color. So for the grass, I'm doing a lighter shade kind of towards the sky. I am bringing that grass back a little bit underneath the skipping rope because I kind of want it to look like the grass is going into the background of the scene. I'm going to stamp out this little grass stamp that comes in the stamp set, one on the left side of the raccoon and then one to the left of our little turtle as well. I'm going to use my craft pick just to peel up the masks, and I love this part when you see the nice white crisp images come to life behind those masks. I am peeling them up pretty gently because you can use this masking paper more than once. So I just adhere them to the back of my stamp set. Not adhere them, but just stick them to the back so that I can use them at a later date. Now once I get the bunny peeled up, I'm going to work on the coloring. So for the hedgehog, I wanted his tummy to be lighter than the spines, or, well, it's not really spines, he's not a porcupine. He could be a porcupine though. But I want his front of his body to be lighter, so I'm going to use E57 as my darkest. E35 is my midtone and E53 as the lightest color. Blend those all together nicely. I just used my darkest shade along, we'll just call it his fur at the back, underneath his neck and underneath his arms, and then by his little feet there. And then I went in with the midtone and then blended everything in. Here's Lila, she came up to see what I was doing, knocked over all the caps, which was fine. I was done with them. I'm ready to move on to the darker brown for the little fur or hair of my hedgehog here. I wanted this to be a nice rich brown, so I'm using E49 as my darkest and just using that along his hairline and then where there's any little V's in his hair. Came in with the midtone of the E29 and then blended that out with the E27. For my turtle, I wanted the shell to be more of an olivey color. So I'm using YG99, YG97, and YG95. I am bringing that YG97 a little bit onto the front portion of his underbelly, just under his neck and under his arm. I want to bring in mostly the YG97 and then the YG95 around his shell. Now here, this is going to look like a hot mess for a minute, but I wanted to bring in the lightest color that I was going to be using for his head, his arms, and his little feet, which is the YG01, which is a very different color from the YG 99, 97, and 95 that I used. So you can see there I used the tip-to-tip technique a little bit just to get that blended out nicely. I wanted it to be a blend of the two color combinations that I'm using. So for his little head and arms and legs, I'm using YG25, YG03, and YG01. I wanted that part to be a little bit of a brighter green so it stood out from his shell. Finished him up and now I'm going to work on the bunny. I want a light warm gray bunny. Almost looks white, but I am coloring in the entire image so that it is a light gray color. And I just love how this little bunny is drawn with its one leg up in the air. Now obviously this bunny can jump very high because it's almost over top of the skipping rope, but we're just going to go for it. So I used my warm gray 3, 1, and 0, 0 for our little bunny. I brought in some R20 for the cheeks, the ears, and his little belly, just to add some color to him. Decided to come in and give our little hedgehog some rosy cheeks as well, and now I'm going to work on all of the blacks and grays. So for the darker black images, I'm using C9, C7, and C5. I'm just using my C5 here to map out where I want the black to be on my images. This just helps to ensure that I don't make a mistake. Coloring in the tips of his hands and his feet. And here now I'm coming in with my darkest, the C9. If I had to do this again, I would probably do the handles of the skipping rope in a different color, but I think it turned out just fine. So I want to make sure that I'm adding a little bit more than normal for my darkest color, just because I want this to look nice and black. So now I'm coming in with my midtone, which is the C7. Only leaving a little bit of a highlight for the C5. So I'm just going to finish up the tail here. Once I get that done, I will bring in the lightest marker, the C5, and blend all of that out. For the body of my little raccoon, I want him to be a nice gray color. So you're going to see here, I am going to switch up my cool gray markers a little bit. So I'm going to take away the two darkest markers and I'm going to bring in the C5, the C3, and the C1. So again, I'm just using my C1 here to map out where I want the darkest color to be. And now I'm going to come in with the C5 You can see here that I'm using this much more sparingly than I did the C9 with the darkest black color, and that's just because I don't want this to darken up too much. I do want it to stay a more of a gray color, so you can really see the definition between the gray and the black on our raccoon. I'm just using my C3 marker now, and then I'll come in with my C1 to blend all of that out. I want his tummy to stay white, but I am going to add a little bit of C1, and then I'll blend that out with my C00 marker. And then that will give a little bit of shading to his tummy. Now I want to make sure that these images look grounded, so I'm just bringing in my C3 here. And there would be a shadow under where the bunny is jumping as well. So that's why I have the little markings here in the middle. Now for the raccoon, I didn't quite bring it out as much as I should have on the left because I was afraid it was going to look funny with that grass. But off camera, I do end up bringing that shadow underneath him out under his tail. Now I'm trying to decide where I want the sentiment to go. I thought I was going to put it in the top left. I end up putting it in the middle bottom here. To be honest, I'm not sure if I love it there, but I think it looks okay. And now I'm going to bring in some of my green markers that I used for the head and the arms and the legs of our turtle. And I'm just going to add some flicking marks there to where I stamped the grass, just to give it some color. I'm going to adhere the panel to my card base. And now I'm going to do some finishing touches. So I'm just bringing in my black glaze pen. Just fixing up where I got a couple little smudges of ink. And now I'm bringing in my white Signo gel pen to add some detailing. I love how it just brightens up the little hedgehog and our turtle. And then I'm going to add some highlights onto our little raccoon as well. I thought it needed a little bit something more, so I ended up grabbing 2 of these little design elements that come in the stamp set to make it look like the bunny is jumping. And then it has this open heart here, so I decided to add 3 to the top of the card. Now I have to be really careful adding in my Copic marker here because I did stamp this with Versafine. I'm going to make sure not to touch the edge, and I will blend that out afterwards with my colorless blender just to blend that out. And that's the card for today. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!